Dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original crew, man? We're back. We got a Nexpo. Today we got the dark side of Reddit number 2. You cold, ain't you? But hey, with that being said, before we get into it today, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box.
Down below.
You already know where to go if you want to first support. All you got to do is check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's visuals,
like it with a thumbs up.
But hey, man, let's hop into it. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Let's check it out. Straight like that. Let's go, man. Let's check it out. Let's see what's about. You ready?
Alrighty.
Oh, also, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, man. Join the family, join the fun.
Do that.
Roll to 300K. We're trying to hit 300K before the end of the summer. So we need y'all help, man. We ain't that far away from there. It's obtainable. What? What'd you do that for?
I was getting some dog hair off of your shirt.
No, you poked me. Let's go. You did poke me. Not my fault.
$430 million. The amount of monthly active Reddit users worldwide as of December of 2019. A figure of this magnitude has effectively cemented the site as one of the most widely used of all time, and with that comes an incomprehensible melting pot of post topics spanning nearly anything you could think of. As with anything, however, there is a dark side. The shrouded corner of the websites harboring the strangest mysteries, stories, and true crime cases. It's safe to say that I've sunk an embarrassing amount of my life reading threads in this category. But, hey, I guess that just happens when you're fascinated by something. What can you do? Welcome back to Chronicles of Reddit, an anthology series dedicated to diving into the less disturbing and more odd part of Reddit that you might overlook in your day-to-day reading. This is Volume 2, so if you missed the pilot episode, be sure to check that out when you're finished with this one. Without further ado, get comfy, because tonight, we're taking a dive into 3 more bizarre discoveries that have weirded me out. From Reddit. First up, RBI. A hub for investigative minds to congregate and tackle real-world problems. On July 31st of 2020, a Redditor by the name of SoothBB would reach out to the community in a plea for help in finding their coworker. Their post reads the following.
Find a coworker.
On Wednesday, July 22nd, a coworker of mine abruptly up and left work before the end of his shift and hasn't been seen since. 1 week later, a text message is received from him containing only these 3 photos. Does anybody recognize the location shown in these photos? I work at a lab that makes prescription eyeglasses in Northern Ohio. Last week, Wednesday, about 6 hours into our 10-hour shift, a coworker of mine got up from his station in a hurry, left his bag of personal belongings at his desk, and walked out the door and didn't return. No one's seen him since. Some of my other coworkers thought he was just sick of the long hours and decided to quit. But that doesn't make sense why he'd leave behind his personal belongings and not say anything.
Especially these type of, it's an iPad, Bluetooth headphones, it's pricey, a prescription, depending on what it is, you might need it, phone chargers, not necessarily, a book, not necessarily necessary, and then a couple other knickknacks, could be like snacks or whatever. But the first 3 is iPad, typically people don't just leave an iPad. Bluetooth headphones, depending on the pricing of them. You know what I'm saying? It could be on the cheaper end, like some just Sony, JBL, you know what I'm saying, cheaper end headphones, but they're like some high end. You ain't gonna leave that, right? And a prescription. What type of prescription? You like if I need it, I'm gonna make sure I get
I
that.
won't leave. Yeah, but yeah, I won't leave none of my stuff. So
A phone charger?
I won't. I mean,
People leave phone chargers all the time.
yeah, but I'm just saying, I just won't leave. Like, since all this stuff is together, I most definitely won't leave any of my things. So for them to not be taken and not to be picked up, that's kind of strange to me. So,
Quits, but that doesn't make sense why he'd leave behind his personal belongings and not say anything. We tried calling him that same night, but his phone would just ring until it went to voicemail, and by the next morning his phone was turned off. My boss said he got a hold of his mom and that she hasn't seen or heard from him, but didn't seem too concerned, as she said he had a history of living somewhat of a nomadic lifestyle in his past. She thinks he may have relapsed and owed someone money or just ran off with some girl. Apparently they aren't very close and don't have the best relationship. I know he had a history of drug abuse, but from everything I've gathered in the 2 years that I've worked with him, he cleaned his life up after an arrest in 2014 or 2015 for drug possession and had been clean since. He always acted normal around me and seemed to be living a productive life. On the subject of the pictures, a couple days ago after work, I received a group text message that was sent to me, 2 of my other coworkers, and 6 other numbers I don't recognize. It was from him and contained the 3 pictures I linked. No text. I tried calling and it rang once, then went to voicemail. When I called again, it went straight to voicemail. This whole thing's got me feeling very uneasy, and I don't know what to think. Does anybody here recognize the location of where these photos might have been taken? As stated, below this was a link to an Imgur album containing the photos, which are as follows. Alright, so we've got 3 images in strange locations with very apparent motion distortion. It appears that whoever was taking them must have been trying to shoot him on the fly, and very likely could have been attempting to be discreet about it. Camera flash aside. Now, I know the first thing that probably comes to mind here is the potential of EXIF data being embedded within these photos, and considering the fact that it provides critical information, including the GPS location, extracting this from the image and tracking his friend down should be pretty easy peasy, right? Wrong. Unfortunately, a few others have noticed this and suggested looking into it. However, the OP's attempts at doing so didn't bring up anything usable. On top of this, not only were the images that were uploaded to the album on Imgur not the original photos from the camera that shot them, but the websites and potentially the messaging app they both used more than likely stripped the EXIF data from the files, effectively rendering this angle of attack to be useless. A couple hours after this thread was made, a Redditor named Zepazuzu would inquire on if the police were notified, to which Sooth responded, saying, "That's what my boss contacted his mom about. She said she was gonna give it some time before doing anything like that because she's absolutely convinced he's fine and just left on his own accord. Her lack of concern is kinda mind-blowing, to be honest. If my kid up and left leaving behind a bag of personal possessions, I'd contact the police ASAP. We talked about calling the police ourselves, but my boss ultimately said it wasn't our place since we aren't kin, and that should be left to his family." Not sure about you, but this seems a bit off.
You said what?
I said, me personally, I would still call the cops because you already stated before that him and the mom didn't really have like such a close,
But the mom being so
relationship.
nonchalant about it is alarming.
Yeah, so that alone to me is just like, something could
Red
be
flag.
wrong, and I'd rather like be on the safe side than to just assume that everything is okay.
Cause let that be you. Your mom gonna panic. Let that
Yeah.
be me. My mom gonna panic.
Yeah.
So, like typical fathers will be more nonchalant than mothers will. You know what I'm saying? That's just the typical nature.
Some of them, but yeah.
But yeah.
I don't doubt Sooth's claims here. However, leaving only his mother with the sole authority to file a missing persons report or contact the police seems a bit odd to me. Personally, if a friend or coworker of mine were to up and vanish after leaving all their personal belongings behind like they'd done, red flags would be going off everywhere. If I were them, I'd be filing a report regardless. Anyway, in the sea of speculation and theories under this post, two users, Maxilla the Destroyer and Mashed Potatoes, would present nearly identical theories that stand out among the others. For brevity, we'll just take a look at the one from Mash. My phone has a feature where if I hit the lock button 3 times really fast, it'll send a series of 3 photos to whatever contacts I've approved. The phone I just got will send 3 from the front camera, 3 from the back, and I think a couple of seconds of audio recording. It's for emergency situations. My old phone would send just 3 from the front-facing camera. Is it possible this is what's happening? Now this. This is a contender I'm willing to get behind, considering the fact that Sooth and a few others all received.
But only reason why I said maybe is because the angles of each photos are different, and there are 3 photos of different objects. So if I'm doing it real fast, it's gonna 9 times out of 10 get things that are, you know what I'm saying, in range. Those don't look like they're, you know what I'm saying. It looks like somebody literally snap, like snapping around. If I'm trying to just hit it 3 times and take 3 photos, it's gonna be similar photos or similar range of photos. Not one over here of a shed, one of like.
And then just with the whatever contacts I have approved, it was stated that it was sent to the one girl or guy, another coworker, then some other contacts that they didn't recognize. So it's kind of like you have to manually probably go in there and choose. I want to send it to this number, that number, and then whatever the other contacts are as well.
Yeah.
So.
This is a possibility, but this is like 5% of possible that happens, because you got to, like, again, look at the trajectory of it. It looks like those more like not stationary, but in a hurry of me trying to make sure I capture a specific mark. You know what I'm saying? It's their angle.
Yeah.
And like you said, they all got the flash on.
Yeah.
That's another thing. If I got my flash on, I'm more than likely trying to be discreet. I mean, if I'm in danger of trying to be discreet, I won't have my
flash on.
Yeah, because I'm taking a photo with a flash on. Somebody see it, they go, "What was that?" Especially at night, because all 3 of them was at night.
Right.
What? I bet I hit the
camera. To whatever contacts I've approved. The phone I just got will send 3 from the front camera, 3 from the back, and I think a couple of seconds of audio recording. It's for emergency situations. My old phone would send just 3 from the front-facing camera. Is it possible this is what's happening? Now this. This is a contender I'm willing to get behind, considering the fact that Sooth and a few others all received these 3 photos in tandem. If we assume that their coworker utilized this SOS feature potentially built into their smartphone, then it leaves the door open to just 2 options. Either they're completely fine and did this by accident, or they were or are legitimately in trouble and needed help. But then again, that brings us straight back to the root of this mystery. Regardless of what happened, Sooth unfortunately never followed up with an update on if they ever returned, if a report was eventually filed, or if they ever got into contact with them, leaving the door on this conundrum wide open for speculation. If you or anyone you know recognizes these spots from Northern Ohio, drop a comment. It's a long shot, but perhaps we can help Sooth put their newfound dilemma to bed while helping to bring their friend home.
Yeah, whatever happened, I don't think we get the answers.
Yeah, since there was no update.
Yeah,
they don't
it's
have
too vague.
Any, real names or anything like that.
Yeah, it's very, very, or like a direct area. Hey, because it happened in Ohio. State, but we need a region. Is it Columbus? Is it Cincinnati? Is it Akron? Is it Cleveland? Like it's multiple places it can be. You know what I'm saying? I'm just using those as reference.
Yeah.
But like it could be a plethora of places. Like if you gave us at least, hey, I'm out of this city in Ohio. You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stop 2. Legal advice. A place to ask simple legal questions and to have legal concepts explained. On the morning of February 7th of 2017, a Redditor by the name of BabyBlues17 would jump into the conversation, explaining and inquiring on an unfortunate dilemma that they found themselves wrapped up in. Their post is titled, "I'm Pregnant Being Investigated by DCS," and reads the following. Hello. I'm 29 years old, happily married. My husband and I are college educated, have respectable, stable jobs, and own a home in a nice neighborhood. We're basically as prepared as anyone can be to start a family. I'm almost 9 months pregnant with our first child. The problem is that 11 years ago, when my husband was a freshman in college, he was arrested for possession of marijuana. It was a large enough amount that he was charged with a Class D felony, but not intent to deal. He pled guilty and did his time in probation without a problem, passing every drug test along the way. He has not touched marijuana since, and we rarely even drink. I have no criminal record and have never done drugs myself. It was a stupid mistake he made as a foolish 18-year-old, and he's worked hard to put it behind him. Someone has apparently contacted child services in our area and informed them that we are drug users. This accusation is being taken very seriously because of my husband's record. We've been as cooperative as could be with our caseworker. We've been interviewed, our home has been examined, and she found nothing remotely suspicious or incriminating. We have both taken a drug test and passed. Our caseworker says that everything looks fine so far. Unfortunately, she also says that there's still a possibility that our child could be taken from us in the labor and delivery ward and that we won't be allowed to take her home. I was devastated and horrified to hear that. When I asked why, she said it was not up to her and we'll have to wait and see, which made absolutely no sense. What gives? I feel like there's something that she isn't telling me, but I have no experience with DCS and I'm not aware of anything we could have possibly done wrong. I know they'll have to test my daughter for drugs when she's born, but she hasn't been exposed to drugs. Nothing more than prenatal vitamins, not even Tylenol, and I already proved that by passing a drug test. I'm scared and confused.
Shit.
Do I need a lawyer? I'd anticipated spending our savings on our new daughter and parental leave, but I'll use that money for a lawyer if I have to. Thanks for reading, and thanks in advance for your help. Clearly, the actions taken so far by the caseworker are cause for alarm. Receiving news that you're being investigated and might not be able to keep your newborn child would instill anyone with a feeling of overwhelming anxiety. Thankfully, commenters were quick to jump in, offering various tidbits of advice and insight on how she can get this handled. Get a family law attorney on retainer. Maybe contact the local ACLU chapter. This reaction is pretty extreme, and the fact that someone tipped them when you're obviously not using is pretty malicious.
That happens.
Another Redditor named Sudsworthy floated the possibility that the caseworker is potentially complicit in working with the one who made the report. Others, however, had their reservations on the validity of this entire investigation.
Right.
Indiana DCS does not get involved with pregnancies. Please make sure the person you're talking to is actually DCS, or
That's what I
don't
was
let them in your
thinking.
home anymore.
I was literally thinking that. I was like, have you confirmed that the person that's coming to your house is even who they say they are?
That's true.
I literally was thinking that, but I was like, let me just see what else come up, you know. So I can go dress up and bring a little file and something and sit down, come knock on your door and say that I'm, you know.
It could be somebody who DCS took their child from them, and now they're trying to get a child. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they seen you in the war or seen y'all situation, and or somebody who knows your husband that you might not know. Because I'm saying women are more prone to remember people a lot of times more than men in a lot of situations, especially like me. I know for a fact I be forgetting people.
Yeah.
My sister be like, you remember such and such, you remember? And I'd be like, no, the hell I don't. She be remembering everybody, you know? So
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Probably the most substantial comment came from a user named Hurry Up Meow, who claimed that they were a former CPS investigator in the OP's data residence. I'm a former Indiana CPS investigator and assessor. Something here is not making any sense at all, unless the law has changed greatly in the last few years when I left the department. As of this moment, you're pregnant, correct? You don't have any children? They're investigating the fetus? To which OP responded, claiming, yeah, we have no children yet. They are investigating the fetus. I wasn't aware that was even something they could do. The report they got must have been quite alarming, I guess. It seemed weird as heck to me too. The remainder of the comments, understandably, were incredibly sketched out that this was occurring. It was heavily advised to stop contacting this particular caseworker and to get in contact with the DCS supervisor directly. Hopefully through them, they could get some answers on this. And so the OP went silent for a while. Hours became days, and the thread began to lose a bit of steam, as they always do. Hopefully things were okay.
I need a freaking update.
Nigga, what?
February 21st of 2017. Here's my original post. When I made it, I was advised to get a lawyer right away. I was also advised that Indiana's DCS doesn't investigate pregnant women who don't already have kids, and that the woman claiming to be a social worker might be an imposter.
Okay.
I contacted and met with a lawyer and explained the situation to him. He seemed to agree that something was very fishy. To make a long story short, the woman handling our case has no affiliation with DCS. I'm still in complete
That's
shock.
scary.
We went straight to the police, and they're taking this very seriously. I can't give a lot of details because it's an ongoing investigation, but she seems to have been a very skilled and well-researched liar. I never would have known anything was amiss without the advice of this subreddit and the intervention of my attorney. I feel like a complete idiot, but the instinct to cooperate when faced with an intimidating authority figure is strong. I haven't had the baby yet, and we're staying at a trusted family member's home until the baby's born. My OB and the hospital we'll be delivering at have already been informed of the situation and will be taking the appropriate security measures. I'm still freaking out, but we're taking every precaution for the safety of my child, and hopefully everything will turn out okay. Thanks again, everybody. Truly. Abduction of a newborn is something unfathomable to me. However, after reading this and looking into it, I now know that it is a thing.
Yeah.
Go figure. The stats are interesting too. According to an article made by KVUE in Austin, Texas, from 1964 to October of 2019, 327 children under the age of 1 have been abducted in the US. Of those 327 who were abducted, 257 of them were taken by women of childbearing age, between the ages of 14 and 39. A nurse or healthcare worker is more likely to take a child from a healthcare setting, while a babysitter, relative, or friend is more likely to take an infant from a home. Had the OP not raised their suspicions, then who knows what the next step the attempted kidnapper would have taken. Perhaps they'd try to get someone to impersonate a nurse, coming face to face with the OP in the recovery room to abduct their child. It might sound like a long shot, but if they were this dedicated, pursuing a fake DCS case against baby blues, and even coming out to inspect their home, then I wouldn't doubt that they'd pull a stunt like this too. To date, the OP understandably hasn't returned to Reddit. Their story, though, will forever live on in r/legal advice as one of the most bizarre and unsettling occurrences that have been shared there. I'm sure this would make a great personal story one day, but to be honest, if I were them, I'd be happy with just forgetting it.
shout out to some people that recognize that, hey, this sounds sketchy, and did she need a lawyer to get involved? No. Um, Depending on the financial means of it, a lawyer could have been like, let's not pointless, but pointless. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All you had to do is literally reach out to DCS yourself and do a follow up. You could have said, "Hey, I need to speak with a DCS supervisor. Here's the person name, and here's the situation," and they would have been able to follow up and like, "Hey, we don't have a," and then from there, if you wanted to get the police involved, you could have filed a police report. I don't think you need a lawyer just on a financial basis, because she said they had savings prepared to spend on the child and for her paternity leave. So on the financial side, you know what I'm saying, some lawyers be just milking it for the money, you know what I'm saying? And I would prefer that goes to take care of, because you could have did without hiring a personal lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regards, but you did take matters into hand for you and your family's safety to look further into it instead of just going off of someone else's word. That's a good thing.
Yep.
Oh, you want to say something?
Mm-mm.
Our final stop, r/relationships, the place you go for advice in, well, your relationships. On Monday, May 23rd of 2016, a Redditor by the name of Losing My Mind 5 would share a story about what they believed to be their husband spying on them when he isn't home. Considering the post received upwards of 6,000 likes and nearly 1.5 thousand comments in just 5 months, it's safe to assume that their story shook some people up. It's deleted now, however, thankfully archives exist to remedy situations like this. And it read the following. My husband Henry and I have been married for almost 2 years, together for 5. We have a pretty normal relationship and have always felt that we share a mutual trust in each other. We've never broken up, and I can't think of one situation where he'd feel that I'm not trustworthy. I feel like I'm going crazy over this. Henry's career usually requires him to travel rarely, but this year's an exception. His company's in the middle of a reorganization, and he's been traveling to do training seminars about once a month. His trips are usually Monday to Sunday. I've confirmed these trips, and yes, they are legitimate. I'd say that we've been handling it well, but the past few months, my husband's been doing weird things that have caused me to believe that he's spying on me or showing controlling tendencies. The first incident was at the end of March when my husband came home and asked me how my friend was doing with the death of her dog. At first, I said she was sad, but doing okay. About a minute later, I asked how he knew that, and he said social media. The only reason I asked was because I had a phone call in the living room with my friend when the dog died. Not only that, but my friend had deactivated her page before the dog died, so it wouldn't have been on there. I'm the only mutual friend he had with her, so I don't think that he'd see anything that she was tagged in. I asked him if he's watching me, as a joke, and he said, "Seriously? Why would you think that?" I explained it, and he said no, it was on social media. I just assumed his defensiveness was because he had jet lag. The second incident was in April when I went out with my friends during the weekend. That Saturday night, I texted him that I would let him know when I'm home, and it should be around 12:30 a.m. I got home earlier at about 11 p.m. and fiddled around the kitchen for probably 20 minutes. I'll admit, I forgot to text him. I got a text at about 11:20 that said, "You're home?" I told him yes, that I was straightening the kitchen, then going to bed. I asked how he knew, and he said he just figured you would be already. He told me goodnight, and I went to bed. Normally, I wouldn't think anything of this, but this latest incident has me looking back on the past few months. Henry got home early from this month's trip on Friday. I was super excited because he doesn't have a trip until September. When he got home, he asked what I did all week. I explained all of my activities when he said, "Did you have any friends over?" I said no, and he said, "Oh, Really? I said yes, and then at that point I was really confused because I truly didn't have any friends over. He just huffed and stormed off. Again, I just assumed he was tired. I went to the bedroom and asked if he was okay, and he said that he was. Later that night, we were talking about my week, and I mentioned my brother dropped off some photo albums of my dad, who passed away, and that I wanted to show him some. Henry said, "Oh, your brother was here." "Okay," and then mumbled, "That makes sense," as he walked away.
Wow.
I have really good hearing, and I don't think he thought I'd hear it. If he had a camera, is it possible he could have heard a male voice and assumed that it was another male friend? My brother didn't come in the house, but we talked on the front porch with the front door open. I feel crazy just typing this. Sunday, because he was at his mom's, I decided to try and look around. I didn't want to be too obvious, so I kind of just nonchalantly walked around looking at things, accidentally knocking things over, and looking at them when I picked them up, etc. I'm sure it was obvious because I got a call from him asking what I was doing. I told him just hanging out, and he said doing what? I told him I was watching TV. I did have the TV on. There was a pause, and he said, "I'm leaving soon. I'll be home in 20 minutes. He was supposed to be there for 3 more hours. Someone tell me I am overreacting and this is not strange.
No, you're not, because, honey, my little antennas would have been... Child,
Am I digging too far into this? I don't know how he'd know about my friend's dog and that I was home early that one night. There's gotta be something going on, right? He's never acted like this before February. It's weird. I get home after him during the week, so I don't get too much time alone, aside from showers, bathroom visits, etc. Help?
He watching. We all know that. We just wait for you to know that.
Oh yeah. I can see why this story gained so much steam. In our connected world, options for spying, especially for someone versed in information technology with access to the network within the house that you live in, are nearly endless. Webcams, microphones, smartphones, smart speakers, laptops, connected TVs, what have you. And that's not even including the potential for hidden cameras, which these days are disturbingly simple to come by. Being spied on is truly something that induces chills within me, because few things are more intimate and more sacred than one's own privacy. And so Reddit jumped on the case, giving her options and theories as to what he might be up to. These ranged pretty widely, from the potential of him cheating and projecting his behavior onto her, to him deriving some fantasy from spying on her. It truly did light this subreddit up for a while. A user named Riker Omega 3 lended their advice with a pretty solid gotcha tactic to subtly pull the evidence out of him. Next time he goes away, unplug the cable modem. If he's monitoring you, he won't be able to without the internet going to the house.
True.
Power off your cell phone and any other tablet during this time as well, in case he's using those as a microphone. Take that time to really carefully go through the house. Wherever you were looking when you got busted the first time is where I'd start. Pay attention to anything that's been moved. Look at the air vents, returns, and smoke detectors. These usually have a layer of dust on them. If the dust has been disturbed, odds are someone disturbed them. Look for scuffs on the floor or indentations on the carpet, as if a chair or piece of furniture has been recently moved. If there's a camera or microphone, odds are he's going to have one in the bedroom, so start there. The living room is the next logical option. Most importantly, take pictures in every room. When he gets back in town, he's going to want to know what happened with his listening devices. He'll check the internet and the actual devices to make sure that A, that they are working, and B, they're still there. Maybe place the modem at a certain angle or facing a certain direction. If for some reason the first thing he does is check the modem when he gets home, you'll know you're barking up the right tree. Now this, to me, seems like it'd be the best option, and it's a bonus that it's so rudimentary. Next time he's on a work trip or at his mom's, cut the internet effectively buying yourself time to snoop around the house without worrying that you're being watched while doing it.
It would be better to do it when he's out of town, so your alibi. Because if he's just at his mom's house, it won't give you enough time.
And he can just like hurry.
Because it sounds like he ain't that far away for you able to just drive 20 minutes. 20 minutes ain't enough time to really walk around and study the home like that to really find some shit. But if next time he's out of town, do it and tell him if he call you like, hey, I tried to the internet was out. Internet went out.
Yeah, something like
that. He want to know like internet goes down at times.
Yeah.
He'll call the internet provider. Was there a service outage?
If I were her, I'd do it again and again and again and again, while pleading ignorance every time. Considering the fact that spousal spying is illegal in the US thanks to the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, she'd be able to build a pretty substantial case against him. Call the police. They're able to check for hidden cameras and other devices that are used to spy on people. Listen, this is your husband, and I get that you love him, but if he's really spying on you while he's gone, it's beyond sick and disgusting, and it's also illegal. If spying equipment's found, you do not need to press charges, but the fact that you can press charges should scare the shit out of him. If you find stuff and still want to stay with him, I'd go to marriage counseling. Another user named WorkDog suggested that she check the router for suspicious connections that could hint at the possibility of hidden network cameras, to which, unfortunately, she responded saying that she's not tech savvy at all.
You can do that. That is an option as well, that you don't even have to unplug the motor. You can just log on to the account and see that. Like what all devices are connected to. Yes.
From what I gather here, I'm honestly leaning towards the prior suggestion that the husband's cheating and is projecting his actions onto her. If we're assuming that they've had no prior relationship issues and that this spying dilemma suddenly started around February, then it's safe to say that he must have had some sort of significant life change around that time. Furthermore, considering the fact that he's away for extended periods of time for work, combined with the fact that he literally dropped everything and left his mom's, take that for what you will, to rush home and address her snooping after he suspected her of doing so, it's just adding up to infidelity to me.
Yeah.
Either that, or he simply drummed up this sudden infatuation with spying to keep control over their relationship, to purposefully drop hints at the fact that he knows what she's doing, and to prevent her from cheating on him in the future. But then again, that brings us full circle, because why would you need to do something like this if you aren't doing it yourself?
Right.
Why would you need to convince yourself that your partner isn't cheating, completely out of the blue?
It's a possibility though.
To date, Losing My Mind hasn't revisited Reddit to give any sort of follow-up, so it's unclear on what might have happened to her. There wasn't any location information in her story that allows us to do any further digging, and so we're left here, 4 years later, hoping that they'd come to some sort of positive outcome. Losing My Mind, if you're out there, jump on a private tab, use a VPN, and drop us a sign. It can be anything. A smiley face on your profile bio, an unrelated comment on an unrelated post, anything. Your story resonated with a lot of people, and we're all just hoping that you came out of the other end of this all right.
True.
Right.
Cause this can get messy and can get ugly and dark. All right, that's the video. Nothing else but just credits. Oh man, what would your advice be to?
I was so invested in that one. I really wanted to know, cause if like in the beginning, like when she was like, you know, he's always like, you know, on the road, out of town for his job, and he started doing it. I was like, does he have like a whole nother life going on the road, or like be hooking up with, you know, because maybe he get lonely or whatever the case may be, probably cheating or whatever the case. But then I'm like, why would you set up cameras at the house if you know what I'm saying?
Because
you want to monitor, making sure that she not doing the same thing you doing.
Yeah.
which is just so strange. Because
it's like reverse insecurities.
Like, that is just so strange. If he is doing that, but it's still very odd and weird that you even like watching your wife. Like, you don't trust her to know that she's going to be faithful while you working. But I really wanted an update on that. Yeah, like, did you find anything, girl? But yeah.
Hey man, y'all spam us up in the comments, man. Y'all let us know y'all thoughts about it for us. Y'all think he's cheating? She's secretly cheating? Let us know how y'all feel about it in the comments, man. Sound below, but until next time, y'all know how it go, man. I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is
Sierra Nicole.
We are
Kid and C.
We are.
No time to kick it, got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar, 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 dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar, 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 dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my